Google+, the social network that lost to itself. In 2019, Google shut down Google+. Not because users left. They left because Google killed it first. 8 years after launch, the service had 90 million monthly active users. It wasn't a failure of adoption. It was a failure of belief. This is how a company with 2 billion users across its products, YouTube, Gmail, Android, couldn't build a single social network that mattered. On June 28, 2011, Google launched Google+. The product arrived with a specific mandate: compete with Facebook. Not augment Google. Not experiment. Win. Facebook was approaching 850 million users. Mark Zuckerberg controlled the feed. Google controlled search, email, and video. But they did not control how people talked to each other. 3 executives owned this project. Vic Gundotra led product. David Besbris handled engineering. They were not small names inside Google. This was a flagship initiative. Google invested in the infrastructure, the design, the push. Google+ launched with invite-only access, a scarcity play borrowed from Gmail's early strategy. By September 2011, 90 days after launch, Google+ had 25 million users. Growth looked identical to early Facebook metrics. But here's where the story turns. Google didn't see Google+ as a social experiment. They saw it as the foundation for everything. The service was wired into YouTube. Linked to Gmail. Embedded in Google Drive, Google AdSense, Google Analytics. If you used any Google product, and by 2011, that was nearly every internet user, Google+ was waiting. By 2013, usage hit a wall. Active participation flatlined. Users signed up because they already used Google. They didn't use Google+ because they wanted to be there. They used it because it was installed in their browser. The platform redesigned in November 2015, substantial changes that management hoped would revive engagement. It didn't. By 2018, internal reports showed that 90% of Google+ sessions lasted less than 5 seconds. Users were not reading. They were not posting. They were not connecting. They were visiting, by accident, and leaving. Here's what Google never said publicly: Google+ didn't fail because Facebook was better. It failed because Google refused to let it be independent. Facebook worked because people chose it. Google+ never offered that choice. It was mandatory infrastructure. But there's another truth buried deeper. Google discovered a massive vulnerability in Google+ security in 2015. The service had exposed private data. Not a small leak, a design flaw that had existed since launch. Google knew. Internally, the flaw was documented. Externally, Google did not disclose it. Not to users. Not to regulators. Not for years. The company decided the reputation damage of admitting the failure would be worse than the risk of not telling people. This is the pivot point. From that moment, Google+ became what it actually was: a corporate obligation, not a product. They couldn't market it without lying about security. They couldn't shut it down without admitting why. The lesson isn't about social networks. It's about mandatory strategy. Google believed that integrating Google+ into every Google product would create gravity. It created friction instead. Every embedded Google+ button, every forced sign-in, every algorithm that pushed Google+ into YouTube comments, these were acts of desperation disguised as leverage. The company that understood distribution better than anyone distributed a product nobody wanted. They confused access with value. Integration became isolation. By the time Google shut Google+ down in 2019, the decision was almost irrelevant. The service had already died inside the machine that built it. The real failure wasn't losing to Facebook. It was building something so dependent on force that it couldn't survive on choice.